in years gone by, Ulster have been in the top 8 of European rugby, more or less, for the last 4 or 5 seasons. Glasgow haven't. And I think with the experience that they've brought back in there, there'll be a little bit of a seed of doubt in the Glasgow Warriors' heads that, you know, once this Ulster team gets going, it might be very difficult for them.
And Rory Best, listening to him this week, winning some silverware is obviously one of the things that is absolutely paramount, not just for him, but for this Ulster side. And that will be a driving motivation tonight.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, that for me, if I was there lacing up the boots, that would be my own main drive. Is, you know what, we've been close on several occasions in several competitions, but close is not good enough. So it's getting to the point where players like Rory, with all the experience, they're going to say, right, enough's enough. This has to be done now. We can't afford excuses. And I think I heard a quote somewhere during the week saying in the Ulster team tonight there's 300 plus international caps. That's a lot of experience in there to draw from. So hopefully they can pull that together and really make it count.
And very briefly, you going for an Ulster win? You have to, but
yeah, I have to go for an Ulster win.
And you too, Andy.
Oh, I'm 100% all the way.
Yeah, okay. We're standing up for the Ulster men this evening, certainly here in the studio. No away team, though, has ever won a Pro 12 semi-final. Ulster are going to have to overturn that record tonight if they're to make it through to the final in Belfast. Let's join our commentary team, Ryan Constable and Jim Neely.
Well, it's a very warm welcome to Scotstoun, and a very, very stern-faced bunch of Ulster players just being led out by the redoubtable skipper Rory Best. They're fully aware of Ulster's not terribly good record here in Glasgow. They've only won 4 times on the last 14 visits, and they've never won here at Scotstoun. Glasgow haven't lost on this particular turf all season. And with Al Kellogg playing his very last game for Glasgow on home turf, Glasgow determined just to make sure that they do what they did to Ulster a week ago. Well, a number of changes up front for Ulster internationals. Rory Best, the skipper, Dan Toohey, Ian Henderson and Roger Wilson, all starting. Behind the scrum, well, a lot of changes. 6 internationals come back, Jackson and Pienaar at half-back, and on the wing, well, Tommy Bowe on one and Craig Gilroy on the other in great prize-scoring form. He's been skipper of Glasgow, this fellow, Al Kellogg, for 7 seasons. And Glasgow have made remarkable progress, finishing 4th and 3rd and then getting to the semi-final and then the final last year. And they believe that having topped the table for the very first time in their history, their name is on the Guinness Pro 12 trophy for 2014-2015, and everyone here at Scotstoun also believes that as well. It's a much better evening than we saw a week or so ago. Al Kellogg, as we mentioned, leading the side at 33 years of age. Only the one change, Scottish international Fraser Brown comes in the middle of the front row at the expense of Dougie Hall, but it is a fairly useful Glasgow pack and a particularly useful back row with Josh Strauss, Adam Ash and Chris Fazaro. Only one change behind the scrum and a positional switch. Henry Pagos, who came on as replacement last week in miserable conditions here at Scotstoun, starts at number 9, and Nico Matawalu moves out onto the wing. George Clancy, who in a few months' time will be refereeing in his second World Cup, starts his 74th Pro 12 game. He's had 38 tests and is Ireland's most experienced referee at the moment. He's joined on the flanks by John Lacey and Dudley Phillips, also from Ireland. The TMO, another Irishman, is Seamus Flannery. Much better conditions than we had last Saturday when it was absolutely miserable. There is a wee bit of a breeze, and if there's a bit of a breeze, Ulster have opted to play into the breeze. Paddy Jackson with a little dinky start to this game. Who's underneath it? The answer is Ulster and Ian Henderson. Good start by the young man. Pienaar, Jared Payne. And again, as we saw last week, the footing is a wee bit on the treacherous side. Pienaar, Chris Henry, taken on once again by the ever-present Henderson. Penalty to Ulster. What a start.
Yeah, you contrast the start tonight with that of last week, and everything going Ulster's way, dominating in the air and then going through a number of phases and a penalty opportunity straight up. Finals footy, very different to regular season game, different pressure. There's no next week for the loser of this encounter.
Well, what a start. I thought Johnny Gray for a second had it, but Ian Henderson had other ideas, and as ever when he gets the ball in those considerable paws of his, he makes a decent bit of ground. Came on early last week as a replacement, and interestingly, Ruan Pienaar, who conceded the kicking duties a couple of weeks ago against Munster to Paddy Jackson, has taken them upon himself. This would be just about the perfect start for the visitors here to Scotstoun, who, remember, have never won here. Haven't beaten Glasgow for 4 years on Glasgow turf. Pienaar kicks, and he makes the kick good, and that's just about the perfect start. Just a minute and a half gone, and Ulster 3 points up.
Incredible pre-match atmosphere here at Scotstoun, and best way to silence that crowd is points on the board early for Ulster, and a very dominant early exchange from Ulster, looking to impose themselves on this match with all those changes back to full strength.
Well, Finn Russell, who got 22 of his side's 32 points last week, that's for his forwards to chase a wee bit far, perhaps, taken in by Tommy Bowe.
Inside.
Ball is still inside the 22. You can hear George Clancy calling that. Pienaar may decide to kick, and he does. It's been touched by a Glasgow hand, but he's allowed that to play on. Stuart Hogg. Good tackle by Ulster. Rory Best, the skipper. Ball back in the Glasgow side, Henry Pyrgos. Ryan Grant runs into Best, his fellow Lion from a couple of years ago. Pyrgos in the narrow side. Russell tries to put it in behind Ulster's defence. Back goes Bowe. Well, he had to go down, and he's in a wee bit of trouble here. George Clancy there very quickly. Well, Tommy Bowe's made it available. George Clancy's having a good look at it. And Ulster have recovered the situation, but it was dangerous. Pienaar to Henderson. They come in field a little bit to make it easier to kick the touch. Ball left behind for Pienaar. This time I think it is going to drift into touch, and it does. Well, that was a bit hairy.
Yeah, and the quality of the kick chase is going to be vitally important. When you have back three of the quality of both of these sides, you can't afford not to be on the money with your kick chase game. And an excellent kick that just wouldn't sit up for Tommy Bowe. Had to go to ground. That on-rushing Glasgow support coming, but Ulster doing well to get numbers back and secure that ball.
Well, this is Fraser Brown, who's just come back from injury. A youngster whom a lot of my Scottish friends feel is tipped to captain both Glasgow and Scotland at some stage. Not just the cleanest take for Glasgow, but it's pulled well in by Brian Grant, the loose head. Al Kellock runs into Roger Wilson. Wilson has done well, but he's given away the penalty, not rolling away, having made the tackle, and a chance for Glasgow to level this game.
And also be acutely aware that Glasgow play their best when they're playing with tempo. It'll be trying to slow that quality of possession down at the breakdown without infringing, as they've done on this occasion.
Roger Wilson, who didn't start last week's game. Robbie Dack was number 8. Well, Wilson made the turnover, and he got right over, and he didn't get it away. Now, he may well have been pulled over there, but okay? I think George Clancy was just about right. So an early penalty against Roger Wilson. Glasgow have got a man down injured. Wilson, who's played more Pro 12 games for Ulster than anybody. This is 134th. Al Kellock looks a little bit wobbly. Is there a faraway look in his eyes? Maybe not. Well, I don't think he's 100%, but he's not going to go off this field unless he absolutely has to.
We've already seen from the opening exchanges, Ulster defensively not going to allow Glasgow the time and space they had last week, and that man Finn Russell on screen caused a lot of damage. A lot tighter defence, better line speed will be expected from Ulster in this match.
Over 200 points now for Glasgow, and he got his only 2 tries in the league last week against Ulster. Russell, right-footed. Oh, the crowd like it. And we're back to level pegging. Coming up to 5.5 minutes gone, and Finn Russell has cancelled out Ruan Pienaar's penalty. It's 3 apiece here at Scotstoun.
A definite change in the atmosphere after those points go over. Last week it was a sellout, but there wasn't a huge amount riding on it from Ulster's perspective. Glasgow secured this home semi-final, but fans definitely aware of what's at stake now.
More orthodox restart kick by Paddy Jackson, well taken in by Al Kellock, who seems to be fine. Tegos with Russell more or less straight behind him. Lewis Stevenson making a nuisance of himself at the breakdown. That's a good kick. Somebody has to call for that. Jackson does so. Good work by Jackson. Taken off at the ankles. Craig Gilroy back on the Ulster side, the joint top try scorer in the league this season. Pienaar, Wilson. Good strong thrust by Wilson. Gets outside the 10-metre line. Pienaar inside to Bow.
Release now. There you go.
Good recycling by Ulster. Jackson will kick. Now there's no Tommy Bow on the far side to chase, but it's been well taken, I think, by Ulster, just on halfway. Pienaar again looking for a little bit of distance. Oh, that's set up easily.
Stay.
Hogg infield. Jackson positioned nicely. Wee dart by Jackson. Didn't get away from the pacey Hogg though.
Don't pull him in.
Ulster still have it. Tommy Bow with the dummy. Good work by Chris Henry to clear out. Best. Ulster still inside their own half. Pienaar. Jackson, a little bit of room here. Payne. Cave got it away, but under a little bit of pressure. And that's going to be a Glasgow line-out.
Yeah, excellent line speed. Matawalu seeing the threat. Potential 2-on-1 developing in the wider channel and making that decision to come in. Once you do that, you need to ensure you get man and ball. And as Darren Cave tried to flick that one on, just got enough of that pressure. Excellent kick. Bounce sat up a little bit for Glasgow, and we're seeing, as you'd expect in the opening exchanges, a lot of that kick chase game that halfbacks will be responsible for putting those box kicks in contestable areas.
Cut judge's flag showing that there's a definite breeze advantage to Glasgow. Ulster have pinched that one. Pienaar running a bit flat and wide. Jackson away to Payne, inside to Ludick. Seemed to be knocked forward. Was it a penalty? I think it was. Deliberately by Richie Vernon.
Huh?
Needless to say, the home crowd don't like that.
Fairly, no, I didn't think so. Back you go. No. I
A little bit early maybe for the card to be shown. What do you think?
So
It looked as though Ulster had a real opportunity developing with that inside pass, and if it was a clear and obvious knockdown, which it must have been for the penalty, wouldn't have surprised for the yellow to come out.
Well, if it was a deliberate professional foul, there was a pretty good case for that, but a bit early maybe for anybody going to the pocket. Paddy Jackson doesn't make an awful lot of ground with that kick, but it's into a pretty stiffish breeze, and from a comedy position it doesn't look too bad. Now here's that instant again. Pienaar got it away. Jackson, this is it. Well, the penalty was the right decision. Should there have been a card there?
get your
Perhaps
numbers right.
not.
Get your numbers right. He's in, yeah, he's in.
Ulster's line out, didn't look straight. Play on, says the referee. Here comes Darren Cave back in the side along with Jared Payne in the middle of the park. Pienaar, that needs to angle. Oh, it's kicked awkwardly for Glasgow, and that's not a bad strike at all by Ruan Pienaar.
Okay, it's not.
Well, you never know what's going to happen with a rugby ball, do you? One moment it sits up, the next minute it's in your favour.
Yeah, and Ulster kicking into a very stiff breeze, as you can see from those flags, and Tommy Bow featuring prominently both in the kick chase and also making himself available as a ball carrier. And Ulster will need their back three to take some of that workload off that Ulster pack in terms of ball carrying.
Well, and Pienaar very much in the mix to make it a third successful World Cup with his native South Africa. Fraser Brown with the throw, that's gone loose. Glasgow managed to pull it in. Tergos Waits, one of 13 full internationals in the Glasgow starting 15. He's got the wind behind him, and he's found a good touch. 10 minutes gone, 3 apiece. Ulster won't be too unhappy.
No, playing into the wind, 3-all scoreline. They'll know that they've got that to come back with them, and important that they're at this game at the half-time juncture. Probably two of the most exciting attacking teams in the competition. Ulster have got a wide variety of strike moves, of set piece, a lot of second man plays, and getting their blindside winger involved. And as we know, Glasgow with tempo and pace are incredibly difficult to stop.
Bit of an overthrow there by Ulster, and Chris Pizarro makes a decent bit of ground. Tergos half impeded Russell to Matawalu, swallowed up by Louis Ludick and Jared Payne and Craig Gilroy. Ulster battling at the breakdown, looking to turn it over if they possibly can, and I think they've done it. It's good work by the Ulster pack, and Pienaar Gets it away nicely. And it's set up even more nicely for Nico Matawalu. Where's that going? It's going to Jared Payne. Off he goes. Good strength by Payne. Henderson. Wilson over halfway. Bit of a collision there with Dan Tui. Pinar. Jackson. Ulster being a little bit over ambitious perhaps in the middle of the park, but just a little bit too keen there.
It looked like some miscommunication there. A couple of players running off the ball, mixing things up. An excellent turnover earlier on by Jared Payne to create that turnover possession, and Ruan Pinar really featuring prominently with that kicking from the base.
Well, nearly 12 minutes gone, and this is going to be the first scrum of the evening.
Maintain stability, don't lean forward.
No Vian Herbst at tight head for Ulster, remember, and no Franco van der Merwe, both here and both with their respective legs encased in those fashionable boots. I'm sure they weren't wearing them.
Bang!
Ulster just about 3 pounds a man heavier than the Glasgow 8. Tergoth, can they make it pay? That's collapsed untidily, and just like the first scrum a week ago, Ulster get penalised. Callum Black, I think, lost his footing, and the referee deemed it was illegal.
Yeah, that was the challenge coming into this game. Without the quality of Vian Herbst, Franco van der Merwe and Nick Williams in that pack, would Ulster's set piece and also their general play create a platform that would allow these exciting backs to really show their worth? And on this occasion, the penalties come, and with this wind behind, it looks like Stuart Hogg may be attempting one of those long-range hoofs.
Stuart Hogg, only 22 years of age, now capped 32 times by Scotland. Long-range specialist. He's attempting this from about 55 metres from the Ulster post, but he does have a fair old wind at his back. Most of his kicking attempts in the warm-up were from pretty close range, so this is just about at his very limit, even with that wind. Hogg. That doesn't look too bad. Is it going to carry? Yes, it is. What a strike by Hogg, and what a confidence boost that will give the Glasgow side. So first scrum, kickable penalty. Hogg punishes Ulster.
And it was sailing as it went over. There's still plenty of distance left in that kick, and an indication of how strong that wind is, and Glasgow making the most of the opportunity with it at their backs.
Jackson hoping the ball will hang for his forwards, and it does. Johnny Gray takes it though. Chris Henry affects the first tackle. Tergoth looking for a runner. Gets it from his hooker, Fraser Brown. Russell decides to kick. Louis Ludic. Well, that's straight down the middle. This is Ash, the enormous young number 8 for both Glasgow and for Scotland. Rory Best coming through, gives away the penalty, and this is looking very kickable. They've taken it quickly. Matawalu. Did Glasgow get the 10 metres, or were Ulster back to 10 metres? Stuart Hogg, who scored the first of Glasgow's 4 tries last week, and this time it's Glasgow getting away the penalty. Glasgow might have been better just settling themselves and allow Stuart Hogg to have a go at the Ulster post.
Yeah, with the kick that he put in earlier, it's a strange decision to take that quickly. Obviously trying to get tempo into the game, but need to ensure that they don't lose their head in the heat of the moment.
Well, I'm not sure why the crowd are booing, because the offence was there for everyone to see, according to George Clancy. 15 minutes gone, 6-3 to Glasgow. Finished top of the regular league table for the very first time in their history. Very much on the upward curve. That was the penalty. Tergoth took it quickly. He did get just about the 10 metres, and Matawalu made a little bit more, and then Glasgow, once Stuart Hogg was stopped in his tracks, came flying in from the side. Henry and Callum Black with the tackle, and Johnny Gray, I think, going in, and Kellogg as well. Ulster's line out, taken by Tui. Pinar, bit of a stretch there. Jackson, right through his Gilroy. That's good work by Ulster's flying wing three-quarter. Pinar again. Better stuff with ball in hand by Ulster. Payne gets it away to Ludic. Off to Tommy Bowe. Tries a little chip, and he's taken off at the ankles. And that's good work by Ulster's backs. Pretty impressive looking stuff, but equally good defending by the home side.
An example of those strike moves that they employ so well. On this occasion, it was that little inside pop to Gilroy, and as Pienaar runs across, Jackson takes that line, then just steps in, and a clever little switch there. And once Ulster get behind that defensive line, a retreating Glasgow defence, that creates further holes out wide. And Gilroy's been an outstanding form all season, a real strike weapon. And as they go out wide, some clever drifting defence, slightly more passive, and Tommy Seymour picking up Tommy in the corner.
Glasgow's line out. That's well taken in by Al Kellogg, shouting for his fellow forwards to come in behind him. Ulster trying to just restrict them. Nicely protected. Back to Purgos with a win behind him. And that's a good clearing kick. Fairly straightforward defensive line out, well executed by the home team.
Again, with the luxury of that wind at their back, all they need to do is advance it a few metres and then employ the luxury of that box kick. Good depth takes them out of their trouble area.
Al Kellogg had a couple of seasons captaining Scotland as well. Only 33, just a youngster. Don't obstruct. Back again on Ulster's side. Jackson. Darren Cave makes decent ground. Pienaar. Roger Wilson will straighten. Bounces off the first tackle, and he's got a man hurt there. Rory Best takes it forward. Good work by Ulster's captain, not for the first time. Pienaar again looking for Wilson, and this time he offloads to Henderson. Bit static now by Ulster. Jackson. Ludick. Good strength by Ludick. Still there for Ulster. Glasgow managed to slow it down. Chris Henry. Good sidestep by the man who captained Ulster just 6 days ago. Now Henderson. And it's Pienaar. Ricky Lutton. Starting only his second game of the season. Pienaar. Jackson. Cave. Very nearly through. Good aggressive work by Cave. It was Johnny Gray got hurt in the last tackle. Bow away to Lutton. Well taken by the prop forward. Good continuity by Ulster, but they've been restricted by good Glasgow defending. Roger Wilson tries to bludgeon his way forward. Russell with the tackle. Pienaar looking to the narrow side, but there's only Rory Best there. Callum Black. Dan Toohey back in the team. Pienaar, now Jackson. Nicely done. Here goes Henderson. Back inside to Craig Gilroy. Better continuity by Ulster. Pienaar has to go in himself. Bit of a chance here. Jackson, Ludick, Henry. Henry for the corner. Chris Henry for the first try. Terrific piece of play by this Ulster side. Patience was the watchword, and finishing was just perfect. And Henry bloodied, but certainly not unbowed. Gets the game's first try.
A very well constructed, composed try that it was, going through multiple phases, probing, making some line breaks, but ensuring they had the ball security at the breakdown to recycle possession. And ultimately it was after those number of phases, as defenders were brought in from the outside, that little overlap occurred. And again, that inside pass that Ulster have employed so well throughout this game. And as Glasgow then run out of defenders, some very clever decision making at the end of it, drawing two players, Jackson, and unleashing Henderson into that space, offloading when it's on, maintaining possession when it's not. And there's the space. Matawalu sold himself, probably should have drifted earlier and relied on his inside defenders to take that man, but an excellent execution by Jackson, Ludick and Henry, hugging the touchline to preserve that space.
Two short, swift, crisp little passes from Paddy Jackson and Louis Ludick. And Chris Henry will ignore that little bit of blood. So Ulster back in the lead as we go into the second quarter of this game. Pienaar, that needs to come in, and it did come in, but then it drifted wide again. And Glasgow have made a replacement, and Leone Nakarawa has come on. I think it's Alistair Kellogg. Al Kellogg has gone off the field for Glasgow. The skipper is about to go off the field. I'm not quite sure whether it's that from that little bump as we look at Chris Henry scoring again.
And important now for Ulster is this kick restart. Nothing more demoralising for a team that's been scored against, for the opposition to have a clean take, recycle, and get that back down in opposition territory.
Tommy Bowe takes it into contact. Rory Best. Jackson, lovely pass. Payne has a go himself. Always makes a decent bit of ground. Pienaar. Jackson. Given that plenty of height, and the wind will hold it up. What a monster that is. Well taken in though by Glasgow. Pyrgos. Russell. Set up nicely for Gilroy, who gets it away. It's a very good kick by Gilroy from the narrowest of angles.
The outstanding recovery. That was looking difficult with two chasers coming on. Hugged the touchline, managed to stay in after a clever kick from Finn Russell, utilising that wind to its best advantage, and then an excellent touch finder from Craig Gilroy.
Well, he's had a terrific season, Craig Gilroy. There's a real change in his attitude and his work rate and everything else. He's not just content to sit out in the wing and hope for things to come. He's made things happen, and he's come in field, and he's done a lot of hard graft and a lot of chasing as well. Glasgow have another replacement on. Pat MacArthur has come on. That was taken by Josh Strauss, who will be Scottish qualified pretty soon. Pyrgos almost saw a gap there, runs into Rory Best, who couldn't quite strip the ball away from the Glasgow scrum half. Russell has to go in. There's MacArthur. So Glasgow with two replacements on, second row and front row. George Clancy's having a good look. He said that Ruan Pienaar was doing something perfectly legal, coming through what they call the gate. This is the enormous Nakarawa, who's made more carries than anybody, but he spilled it forward, and George Clancy is playing advantage to Ulster.
You're outside.
Ulster taking their time. All Jackson has to do is find his touch. Now, has he done that?
There's
Yes,
no
he
advantage
has.
from the knock on.
Yeah, Glasgow will be getting frustrated by the quality of possession they're generating from that breakdown. Ulster are managing to disrupt things. The little knock-ons are going against Glasgow, and it's Ulster that'll be feeling in command of this fixture at present.
Well, you may have heard George Clancy say there that there was no advantage from the knock-on. He did play a little bit of advantage, and Paddy Jackson's kick didn't do Ulster any favours at all. But Ulster will probably have preferred for Glasgow to have the line out, because if the first scrum was anything to go by, this might just give Glasgow a bit of an edge. It is an Ulster put in. And Pat MacArthur has come into the front row. Not quite sure what's happened to Fraser Brown, and indeed not quite sure what's happened to Al Kellock.
Crouch!
Callum Black on the Ulster loosehead side up against the South African, the 25-year-old, formerly of the Bulls and the Cheetahs, Rousseau de Klerk. That looks fairly solid. It's not a bad scrum by Ulster on their own put-in. It's a very good scrum by Ulster on their own put-in. They're just nudging forward a little bit. Now they've got the technique right, and now they get the penalty. And if Glasgow got the psychological plus from the first scrum, Ulster got it from the second.
And Ulster be delighted with that response, and Ricky Lutton getting plenty of taps from his teammates. Not played a lot of rugby, and to be put into a game of this intensity, a real examination for him, and certainly a huge tick in the positive column for him after that scrum.
Well, big grins on the faces of Ulster's two injured soldiers. On the right-hand side, Fian Herbst, and on the left, Franco van der Merwe. Both getting some time back in their native South Africa before resuming pre-season training, and they'll be fit and raring to go for the resumption of the Pro 12 in about the first weekend in September, if I'm not mistaken.
Just step off the mark.
Coming up to 25 minutes gone. Ulster, thanks to that unconverted try by Chris Henry, leading by 2 points here. Remember, they led by 4 points at the interval last week. With a strong breeze behind them, they'll have the breeze in the second half in their favour. Ulster shorten the line out. Henderson.
Don't handle it!
Good work again by Ulster. Pienaar. He's put just about enough on that. Nobody really challenged Nico Matawalu. Ryan Grant makes a bit of ground for Glasgow. Pyrgos. Russell thought about the kick. Up very quickly. Missed tackle there though. by Darren Kay, but Ulster have managed to get across. Glasgow still inside their own 10-metre line. Ulster's first up tackling is pretty ferocious. Pyrgos a wee snipe on that narrow side. And again, Ulster's tackling is good. Pyrgos again, big Johnny Gray. Lewis Stevenson hangs on. Pyrgos, Hogg is forced to kick. It's not a bad one. Paddy Jackson. A little probing kick. And he jumps. Oh, well taken was by Louis Ludick, I think, got underneath all of that. It was. Henry at scrum half. Best. Away now to Gilroy. Facing a couple of forwards. And he's well closed down, but he's made it available. Good pressure now by the men in white. Jackson. Flat to Henderson. Runs into the enormous Strauss. Pienaar there quickly. Jackson. A little low driller, and into touch it goes. Nicely judged by Jackson.
Yeah, making all the right decisions, running when it's on, kicking when he sees the defensive matchup, and quite often can happen when you're playing into the wind. You can get into a really good rhythm because you're keeping the ball in hand, whereas Glasgow are kicking away a lot of possession early because they have that luxury of the wind at their back, but some really good decision making in the halves for Ulster thus far.
Nicely struck there by Paddy Jackson.
Make sure there's no contact in the air.
So it's been confirmed that Glasgow have lost both Al Kellogg and Fraser Brown to head injuries. So Nakarawa and MacArthur are on for the duration, it would seem. Henry Pyrgos. That's a good strike. Tommy Bowe waits and gathers. Ludick. Now he'll straighten. There's Gilroy. Somebody's hung on to one leg. Pienaar. Jackson to Cave. Good angle by Cave. Back inside to Pienaar. Better stuff yet again by Ulster. Strauss was there to cover. Cave at scrum half. Sells a ridiculous dummy, but it was bought by a couple of people. Now Pienaar. Tommy Bowe at outside half. Nicely done, Bowe again. Spilled forward. Referee's playing advantage. Away comes Tommy Seymour. Back goes Jackson. Did he knock it forward? Yes, he did. Well, Ryan, this one is still on a knife edge, isn't it?
Yeah, the dominant feature has really been the urgency within that Ulster defensive side, and that's really that harrowing defence is forcing Glasgow into mistakes and pressurising them at every turn, not giving them any time and space on the ball. And again, Darren Kay's been very direct the whole game, getting over that advantage line, setting the platform, excellent at offloading in the tackle, and some desperate Glasgow defence. But the possession that Ulster have had and the line breaks that they've created already in that match will be alarming for Glasgow.
Well, a wee bit of the fumbly stuff in the middle of the park there by Ulster. It's cost them about 30 metres in terms of territory, and it's cost them possession. Coming up to half an hour played.
Crouch!
Ulster looking for their first win in Glasgow soil for 4 years. March 2011 in Firhill, they won by 22 points to 19. They'd settle for that today.
Just maintain that balance for me before the set, okay? I'll come over here and have a look what's happening.
Referee's asking the front row just to settle themselves.
No successful scrum so
View
far.
from the reverse
Must be
camera
better.
on the far side. Gregor Townsend, plenty to think about.
You ready?
Man beside him is forwards coach Shane Munro, who's leaving Glasgow to take up a post coaching the
Crouch!
Scottish women's side.
Bang! Set!
Black against de Klerk. Free kick against Glasgow. In fact, it's a penalty against Glasgow by the look of the straight arm.
Number one, on his knees straight away.
Ryan Grant went down onto his knees, and that's a full penalty.
And also be delighted after that penalty in the first scrum. The next two they've really dominated, getting the penalties, and it's another opportunity to soak up some time in the clock, in possession, get over halfway, select one of their strike moves, and they'll be delighted with the way they've applied themselves in this first half.
Paddy Jackson has found a good touch. There's Grant down on one knee before the ball goes in, and that's a penalisable offence. And George Clancy says, well, you know the laws, Mr. Grant.
keep the game.
Just to remind you, Glasgow have lost both their captain Al Kellock and their returning from injury hooker Fraser Brown, who have failed pitchside head injury assessments. Rory Best down on the Ulster side. Jackson, dangerous stuff, but Jared Payne did well to take it.
It's okay.
Pinar again, little change of direction. Ricky Lutton sets it up. Johnny Gray's in the way. Ulster scooped it off the ground, and Callum Black has it tucked in.
One scrum half.
Pinar, Jackson. This time it's Jared Payne does the driving. Henry, Ulster's try scorer, tackled by Johnny Gray. Pinar again, Ulster keeping possession. Callum Black. Jackson, Gilroy. Now they're wise to Gilroy, they're giving him no room whatsoever. Penalty against Ulster, hanging on in the tackle.
And Ulster on that occasion failing to generate any front foot ball, not getting the quality of possession at the breakdown, and ultimately that led to them being caught behind the advantage line, and man gets over the ball very early, difficult to dislodge him once he gets that dominant position.
Yeah.
Even Tommy Bowe getting involved there. There's another Glasgow player down injured. I have a feeling it might just be loose head prop Ryan Grant. Well, not the greatest touch kick with the wind behind him by Finn Russell, but it is like it's Chris Fusaro who's injured, but it is going to be Glasgow's line out. 7.5 minutes to the interval. I think Ulster will be delighted if they can hang on to these 2 points.
Yeah, that's a significant wind that's at Glasgow's back. They would have expected more of a return from that, but they've just been suffocated by Ulster's blitz defence and their ability to control the ball when they're in possession, which must be a frustrating aspect for Gregor Townsend and his Glasgow side.
Pat MacArthur, taken by Strice. Also really making life difficult for Glasgow at that line-out. Pyrgos looking for somebody to run, taken on by Adam Ash, who runs into Rory Best. Pyrgos, Nakarawa, got it away nicely to Ryan Grant. Pyrgos, better stuff now from Glasgow. Finn Russell, back inside to Matawalu. Strong little fella, burst through the first tackle. Pyrgos again. Glasgow over the Ulster 22, looking for something by half-time. Taken on once more by Ash, who's tackled by Paddy Jackson. Pyrgos. Russell, little kick for Matawalu. Play on, says the referee. Ian Henderson bundled into touch, but there was a penalty given. Man was tackled without the ball, that's fair enough. Well, he's going to have a word with John Lacey about it.
Yeah.
Well, the Glasgow crowd absolutely incensed, as you'd fully expect them to be. I'd like to have another look at that, Ryan.
Okay.
There was an unfortunate kick from Finn Russell. Had it gone where I think he was hoping it would go, it may have been a real try-scoring opportunity.
Okay.
Something's happened behind my back here.
Yeah, not much there, I don't think. Seamus, is there anything else that we need to look at?
Well, these two men will be officiating as referees in the upcoming Rugby World Cup in September and October.
In the lead up to this phase of play, we had a breakdown in the middle of the field. We got 12 black and 8 white. Okay. Now, there's no foul play to report.
Okay.
But it's something that we need to communicate to the teams to put it out.
Give me those numbers again.
Black 12 and white 8.
Okay. So I'll deal with that first, okay?
Peter Horn and Roger Wilson
Seamus,
involved in a little bit of an altercation.
Yeah, I'll go with Dudley's recommendation.
Okay. I need 12 and number 8.
Well, they're bringing Peter Horn and Roger Wilson over. Be interesting to see what that was all about.
Number 12.
It looks like Josh Strice has taken over the captaincy of Glasgow. Let me see if it's a little bit clearer here. There's a little chip kick through. Ball should have landed there. Was he interfered with? Well, I couldn't see there was very much in that.
Off the ball.
So the penalty might be for something a little bit further back.
But I don't want to see that again. All right? Have a word with your guys, make sure it doesn't happen. We're restarting with a penalty here against you for an early tackle in the air. Okay?
Well, the handbag's dismissed, but Glasgow have a penalty for the early tackle. This might show it a little bit more clearly. There's the pushing. Oh, for goodness sake, there's nothing in that. Roger Wilson suddenly has caught him by the collar, and Nico Matawalu puts his tuppence worth in. In the meantime, Glasgow have taken their courage in both hands and have put the ball into touch. Well, Craig Gilroy tried to pull out of that. I'm not even sure that was a penalty at all. He may have touched him, but Craig Gilroy knew what was at stake, and look, he's trying to get away from that. However, Glasgow's line out, that's gone long, straight into Pienaar. Ulster will feel justice has been done, taken by Matawalu, who's nabbed by Henderson, who really chased him down. 5 minutes remaining, 2 points between them. Johnny Gray, good tackle by Henry. Another Henry Pergos. Russell. Hogg.
Advantage.
Strong run by Hogg.
Yeah.
Knocked on by Hogg.
Leave it go.
Referee's playing advantage to Ulster. Ludick.
Advantage over.
Got it away nicely. Tommy Bowe. Not much in the way of advantage, but he's decided that Ulster did take advantage. And Louis Ludick, I thought he was going to get involved there, but he's not. Wow.
Not a lot going Glasgow's way. High error counts, overthrown line out on that occasion, and that level of frustration just starting to show that they just can't find a purchase into this game. Ulster are controlling possession, controlling territory, and looking very composed and disciplined.
Well, this is one of those occasions where big players have to play big games, and alas for Glasgow, they've lost one of their biggest players in recent years. Al Kellogg, the skipper, is on the sidelines. Stolen by Ulster at the line out.
Let's have that again. Gap disintegrated. I want the bigger gap from both sides before the ball come in. Sam put in.
George Clancy decides he wants it again because the 1 metre gap between the two sets of forwards had not been observed. Pity from an Ulster perspective because they pinched that one. Can they do it again? Pat MacArthur mops the fevered brow. Longer this time. Taken at the back by Grant.
Tackle!
Glasgow up to halfway. Pergos for Strauss. Been reasonably well shackled, particularly by Henry. Pergos into a little bit of space. Somebody has to call for that. And it's Jared Payne does call for it. And he wasn't held. Clever knowledge of the laws by Jared Payne. Now Pienaar. Louis Ludick needs a little bit of help. Gets it from Ricky Lutton.
Don't.
Well, hard to hear above this racket because everything that goes on is greeted with either cheers or boos. An equal measure from the predominantly Glasgow support. Again, the Ulster pack doing well at the breakdown. Good platform for Pienaar. Gilroy's chasing and he jumps. Knocked back on the Glasgow side. It's gone loose, but it was knocked forward, I think, just by an Ulster hand. Otherwise, I think Ian Henderson was under the post.
Yeah, Glasgow really looked shell-shocked by the intensity and urgency with which Ulster are playing. It's certainly a different team in white they're confronted with this week, and haven't really adapted to the lack of space that's being afforded to them. We see a clever little offload in the tackle there, but they haven't been able to get their offloading tempo game going because that Ulster defensive system is operating so well. Very few missed tackles. When you don't have the line breaks or you're not getting over that advantage line, it makes it difficult to play that tempo game they so love to play.
Well, at this level, one missed tackle could be absolutely crucial. Ulster, I don't think they've missed one all evening. Off to Bath this year, Nico Matawalu. A lot of musical chairs in terms of scrum halves. Peter Stringer is going to Sale. Mike Blair is leaving Sale and coming back to Glasgow. And so the circle is complete. 2 minutes of this first half remaining. Glasgow on halfway. Henry Pergos. Good squeeze by Ulster at the scrum. What a good one that is, and they've stolen it. Jackson will try to keep the lid on this. Now, has he judged that? Not quite. Matawalu. Oh, that's a bit of a fly hack. Dan Tui with Pienaar. Tommy Bowe lurking wide. Here goes Bowe. The league's top try scorer of all time. Pienaar again. Well taken by Cave. Gilroy gets away from one. Good support by Chris Henry. Now Pienaar. If Ulster could squeeze another try before half time, it could be very interesting. Now it's Pienaar. Nicely done. Jackson. Back inside is Jared Payne. Ulster 7 metres away on the narrow side. Ludick tries to angle it, gets away from the first tackle. Don't think he's managed to get over. It's still there for Ulster though. Pienaar's going to be able to dig it out, I think. Can he roll over and touch it down? Not quite. 5 metres scrum. What an end of this half by the men in white.
Yeah, outstanding stuff once again, and just that urgency again. Any little half chances are going their way. Committed to that ball on the ground, and again it's that line break ability that Ulster have shown throughout the season and have certainly continued into this game. Cruel bounce of the ball, and then the fly hacked up a shoot, and as that game gets loose, Ulster putting the structure on it and Bo taking a decisive line, and that then creates that platform. Ulster seem to be moving forward all the time. Glasgow are retreating, and Louis Ludick showing immense strength to get to within an inch of the line.
He was so close from getting his third league try. 23rd start of the season, 3 of them on the win by the South African who joined Ulster at the start of the season from John. Chris Fazaro not looking 100% chipper. Clock has stopped with about 25 seconds remaining, and Ulster have a 5 metre put into the scrummage.
And those 2 early substitutions in the pack have really wrought havoc with the line out. The line out's not functioning. The scrum has got issues as well, and Ulster are taking full advantage of those issues that Glasgow have at set piece time to ensure that they've had possession whilst playing into a very strong wind.
Tommy Seymour has gone off, and the man who's off to the Scarlets next year, the Canadian international, TTH Van der Merwe, is on the field. So Ulster without their Van der Merwe and Glasgow with their Van der Merwe just on. Had a lot of injury problems, the 32 times Canadian international. 2 World Cups he's played in, and hoping to play for a 3rd time for Canada. Well, now Ricky Lupton has got himself a brand new jersey. I have a funny feeling it might be a size or 2 too small, but he won't care. This is the most important scrum of the game to date.
Just don't bother. Mark is over here.
Not a lot of room on the narrow side for Ulster, as you'll see when the 2 packs get down. Well, after the first scrum, I think it's only maybe the 4th scrum of the entire half. Ulster just had the edge, and they want to put that edge to good effect here.
Set.
Referee will ask them to do that again. This is going to be the very last set piece, I'm pretty sure, of this first half.
Yeah, thanks.
3-0 to Ulster, courtesy of Ruan Pienaar.
And get that bind up for
Finn
me.
Russell's penalty squared it up. Stuart Hogg kicked a monster dip at Glasgow, 6-3 up, and then Chris Henry scored a try after just about 19 minutes to put Ulster 8-6 up, and that's how it stands at the moment. So Ricky Lupton, New Jersey and all.
Bind. Set. Okay.
Good solid looking back by Ricky Lupton. Good strike by Rory Best. Now can Ulster get a bit of a squeeze on? Glasgow go down.
It's gone down, we'll have it again.
He's going to ask them to do it again.
Yeah, for Glasgow, vitally important they don't concede further points. They would have expected with that wind at their back to be going in with a lead, but it's Ulster that really have shown up mentally in this game. Charted over this morning, and they've certainly come ready to play.
Little smile on the familiar face of Rory Best. He loves a scrummer too, doesn't he? Johnny Gray and Leone Nakarawa breathing a little bit heavily. So for the 2nd time of asking, Ulster's 5 metre scrum.
Bind. Set.
Well, Ulster didn't need to give away that penalty, or certainly didn't want to give away that penalty. I think it might have been against Ricky Lupton, under a wee bit of pressure from the vastly experienced Ryan Grant. And Glasgow are delighted with that. And that's just going to go into touch. And that's going to be the end of a very, very, very interesting first half. But what a change from last week. Ulster actually turned round 4 points up at this stage last week but after playing the first half with a hugely strong wind in their backs, they played into the wind and they're leading Glasgow by 8 points to 6. And I think Neil Doak will be a happier man than Gregor Townsend.
Yeah, dominant display from Ulster from the start. They came out playing. They showed an urgency in everything that they did. They were composed, they showed discipline, and they executed particularly well. A number of line breaks, but possession was key when playing into the wind. You ally that to a faltering set piece from Glasgow, a high error count, and they just couldn't find a way into this first half.
Ulster will not be too unhappy at all. They're leading Glasgow by 8 points to 6.
Jim, Ryan, thank you. It's been tight, it's been tense, but certainly very entertaining. And Ulster, the more effective side, the first half.
Oh, it's been brilliant. It's been a great first half of rugby, and yes, there's been a bit of an arm wrestle there, but plenty of good stuff on show for the fans. And us sitting here watching it, we were just saying it's a very good platform for Ulster to go with the wind in the second half.
Yeah, certainly playing against that wind in the first half, Andy. It's an excellent result so far for Ulster.
Very much so. You know, it's a complete role reversal from last week, whereby we were playing with the wind at our backs in the first half, and it's just amazing what a week can do to a rugby match and to players and everybody alike. So, you know, Ulster have really come out the guns blazing here. That, you know, they've had to do a job. They've been pretty much by and large clinical in everything they've done, and you know, have just kept the ball, maintained the ball, and some of the build-up play to the points coming to the board has been brilliant.
And defensively, superb first half.
And we talked about it before about getting off the line, and you've seen Darren Cave coming up, even though he missed a tackle, but he stopped the guys in their tracks, and that's what they need more of. You know, with the wind in the second half, Ulster just need to keep their composure, need to play the pitch. Paddy Jackson in the first half was tremendous, putting the ball in behind him all the time. Matawalu plays 9 usually. You know, we've seen him there, a few dodgy decisions, and you know, Ulster capitalise. So playing the right parts of the pitch, and hopefully we can. Glasgow's discipline might falter, and we can get another few points on the board.
I mean, the try was absolutely textbook, and we're going to show all of the build-up, because you two were purring at the recycling and the way Ulster built up to this score.
I mean, the big part for me was the right people doing the right jobs. You know, the guys are going in, fantastic little half break there. Look at the numbers on backs here. That was a wide ruck, so the guys out wide had to go. Now look at all the handling going on. Clean rucks being cleaned out by the tight forwards, doing their roles. Great by Dan Tui there. And, you know, so everybody's playing their part here. It wasn't just the finishing of Chrissy Henry here, but it was almost the whole team. Look at the clean-outs again. The ball's sitting there on a plate. Everybody's working for each other, and that's what rugby's about. That's what's a team game. Guys are doing the right jobs at the right times. It's simple.
It was methodical the way they moved themselves into position, but once Henderson made that breakthrough, the score was on.
Yeah, me and Andy talked about Ian Henderson before the game, and saying that he needed to get into those trail lines, you know, kind of anticipate when something's going to happen, when there's a half line break, and anticipate it, and there he is on the money. But he doesn't just stop there. He gets the ball away. Craig's there. Craig's, when he gets the ball, he's now looking for an offload as well, and they've just been keeping the ball alive, and Glasgow haven't been able to live with it.
The good thing about all this is everybody's looking for an offload, whereas in years gone by and days gone by, we would have gone to ground a lot of those situations, set up another ruck, and away we go. But guys are actually looking for that offload before they actually make contact with the floor, and it just creates a perfect sort of offloading game. But the width and the discipline for me that Ulster showed to finish that off, I must have gone through, 10, 12, 13 phases, and we finished right 2 yards on the touchline. I mean,
and did nearly exactly the same thing just before half-time as well.
Yeah, you know, I think it was probably a penalty that, you know, Stuart Hogg not rolling away here, but it's just keeping the ball, and the ruck has been fantastic. They've probably worked on it this week, getting the ball on a plate for Ruan, and look at that there, just keeping the ball alive, nothing silly, no 50-50s, you know, maybe a little pass on there, but, you know, put the head down, gets towards the line.
Stuart Hogg's making no attempt to roll away. If we get a side shot, we don't quite see it, but he was making, and John Lacey, the touch judge, sitting right there. I mean, that, in any given, that'd have been 20 metres out, winning penalty right there. You know, so to come back to a scrum, and I think this is the angle we see it good here, but the patience is brilliant here. You know, with just patience, there's no point anybody panicking, and the guys, look at Stuart Hogg, look, he's making an effort to stay in there. That's a penalty in anybody's book. He should have been out of that by that stage.
And from that, the scrum just before half-time, Ulster penalised?
Yeah, well, the first one you could see Callum getting up, Rory getting up, Ricky Lutton getting up, and sitting laughing at each other, and we were saying, you know, you can see it in their eyes that they've got these guys. And in the next one, they get a bit of go forward again, and I think the ref said that Ricky was down on his knees, but getting up out of the scrum, Ricky was the one on his feet. So I just don't know, it was probably an easy decision for George to make to get the half-time, but as we said, it should have been a penalty way before that scrum.
Both of you were slightly surprised when Ruan Pinar stepped up to kick the first points. Paddy Jackson relieved of those duties, but it certainly seems to have paid off the minute, because he has had an outstanding first half.
Well, we're just blessed, aren't we? Ulster, I mean, are very, very blessed in the sense that we've got two world-class kickers. Paddy, over the last couple of weeks, has really stepped back up to the plate, not only in his kicking and off the tee, but kicking out of hand and everything, you know, and he's making the right decisions again, and this is what I love. Paddy Jackson's got all the tricks in the bag. He's such a young guy. We forget how young Paddy still is. And, you know, he's really maturing beautifully. He seems to play his best rugby when he's got Ruan Pinar on his inside, you know.
Yeah.
And it's,
you've seen him there a couple of times, it wasn't on, and he took the ball himself into contact.
Yeah.
Still was able to get the ball away when he hit the ground. A lovely offload there to Craig. And he's just making the right decisions. And you need your big game players to make the right decisions in the big games.
But moving the back line well, but also his kicking out of hand is much better this week too.
Yeah, it is. You know, putting the ball in behind them. I think Ruan, every time there's a turnover, Ruan's looking to get that box kick in behind them, especially with Matawalu there. I'm not sure what he's up to. As we said, he's definitely a better 9 than he is a winger. But yeah, look, they need to play at field position.
the thing is for Paddy as well, you know, take away Mr. Sexton. All the other number 10s in the country aren't playing as well as Paddy at the minute for me. Now, his kicking out of hand is something that's very, very key in the way that Ireland play rugby going forward and coming into the World Cup. So, you know, he's really starting to come together as a player, as an individual player. All his tricks in his bag are starting to get nicely honed, ready for this World Cup. So I'm hoping that he continues to form, they get through tonight and he gets another show next week.
Should Glasgow have had a yellow card, do you think?
I think it was 8 minutes in or something. I think it was on the Vernon. I think was the Glasgow. We just see it here, and that is cynical. That is a yellow card all day long.
He knew what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing there. There's a line break. Tommy Bowes on the outside. If Louis Ludick gets in there, you know, and that's a length of the pitch job. And it's an easy penalty to give, but George Clancy should have been a bit braver than that.
He's bottled it, hasn't he, really, like, you know, and that's poor. This is a big game in the context of where everything is and so forth. It's winner takes all, and maybe just hasn't quite hit that button yet to say grow a set to make the call there, you know what I mean? He hasn't hit that button, you know what I mean? So, but the game could go down to that. You know, who knows? But there could be a telling moment. But at this stage, I think Ulster are fairly much in control. OK,
more from you, gents, in a moment. But now let's get the Scottish view with Gavin. He's with Andy Nicholl.
Well, pre-match, Andy predicted an open game. I think we've had it. Have you been impressed with what you've seen?
I have. I've been very impressed with Ulster. I don't think Glasgow really have played that well in the first half. I think they'll be delighted to be in the changing rooms, only 2 points down.
As a former scrum half, impressed with Ruan Pinar and the way he's dictating things?
Oh, totally. I mean, it's just, he's great to watch. He's got so much time in the ball, which I know personally he doesn't, but he makes it look like he's got it. He's allowing Paddy Jackson just to control the game with his play, and that's it. They've got a real balance there. I've been really impressed.
Are Glasgow rattled, or what will they bring in the second half, do you think?
Well, I think they need to bring a set piece because it's falling apart. There's a line out just right here in front of us. Right, that was their only real attacking part in the first half, and they overthrew it. So Pat MacArthur really got to start finding his jumpers in the line-out time, and then the scrum up to the last scrum. I mean, that might be a hugely significant scrum there, because I thought of Ulster, who'd won the last 2 penalties at scrum time, pushed Glasgow off the ball. I thought it was a real opportunity for them to get a try, a second try, maybe a penalty try there at the end of the first half. So I think that was hugely significant.
Is the scrum a bit of a lottery? We'll not ask you to deconstruct what happened, but interesting for the second half, perhaps.
Well, I mean, the scrum before, Ulster pushed Glasgow completely off the ball. Yet George Clancy interprets that last scrum as a penalty against them. I don't know. I stood next to a million scrums. I do not know what happens in them.
A little bit of wind in the first half, but it looked like it's dying. Is that going to play into Glasgow's hands?
Well, I mean, I think you look at the flags on the far side there, they're not blowing as much as they were. So I don't think it's a significant wind. I don't think it's as significant as it was last Saturday. Glasgow just need to find their game. They've not really started yet, and they just really need to find their game and get their players, the good players, in the game, which they've not really fired a shot that there in the first half.
Last 20 minutes, is this going to come down to the experience and the composure, maybe perhaps in the Ulster team with the likes of Rory Best?
I think you could see it. You could see that happening, and I think if it does come down to that, Ulster definitely have the upper hand in that regard. But you know, we saw last week Glasgow can flick the switch and they can get their attacking game going, and they can be a completely different side. So this game's not over. Ulster have not won this game yet. They're 2 points ahead. There's a lot to play for in the second half.
Earn your money. Call it for us.
I think it was too close to call before the game, and what we've seen in the first half. Ulster are playing better, but as I said, Glasgow can turn that around very, very quickly. I still think it's going to be very, very tight.
Firmly on the fence, perhaps firmly on the hoarding side of the game. Andy, thanks.
Yes, we're picking the splinters out of that one, that's for sure. I mean, Andy makes a good point. Glasgow haven't got their attacking game going yet, but credit to Ulster who haven't allowed them to play.
Well, that's it. I think a lot of the reason they haven't been able to play, to get this game that they were, we saw perhaps last week, certainly in the second half, is the fact that Ulster have got in faces. We've really stepped up. The difference between Ulster defensively this week compared to last week is night and day, and Glasgow haven't been dealing with that at all well.
I was just going to say, like Andy said about Glasgow flicking the switch, this Ulster team isn't going to let Glasgow flick the switch this week, that's for sure. Even when they step it up, I think Ulster's defence will just step it up. Wind on their back, I just can't see Ulster, the way they're playing here, let this one slip.
Was Craig Gilroy a little lucky, do you think, or was his tackle just mistimed?
It was mistimed, mate. Listen, he was never catching the ball, so he sort of, I'm not going to catch a ball, I'm going to catch something. But listen, Matawali's made a complete hash of that. Almost, he could have gone a penalty the other way, because Craigie Gilroy has just come into him, he's realised, oh, right, so he's come softly. You know what I mean? And Matawali's made a complete hash of it himself, so much ado about nothing. I'm pleased that the referees at this situation, they could have, they could have thrown the toys at the pram here and thrown cards everywhere, but thankfully that didn't happen because it would have been ludicrous.
And Stephen, do you think if Ulster can maintain that dominance in the set piece, then the game is really there for their taking?
It is, and Al Callaghan off for Glasgow early on was a big loss. Even making the decision to kick into the corner. And then they overthrew the line out. That's somebody else making that decision. I think if Al Callaghan had been on the pitch, he would have taken the 3 points at the post, and Glasgow would have probably went in 9-8 at half time. But yeah, it's about discipline, I think, in the second half, about Ulster keeping the discipline. And if they can do that, then I'd say they're on their way.
OK, thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Andy. It's back to Ryan and Jim.
George Clancy has checked with both captains that they're ready to give and receive the balls. Glasgow have made another replacement. Number 20, Ryan Wilson, is on. Josh Stryce is still there. Chris Frazar was the man who's gone off, so Wilson will add a little bit of bulk, maybe not so much pace. And Tommy Bowe takes that, and his opposite number, Tommy Seymour, who went off to get his head bandage, is back on again. So DTH van der Merwe has gone for Glasgow. Into Rory Best, Ulster's captain. Tackled by Ryan Grant. Pienaar with a wee bit of a breeze behind him. He's got underneath that a little bit, but he's found his touch. And Stuart Hogg, I think, quite wisely decided not to take a quick one. Well, the breeze has dropped a little bit, which will certainly not do Glasgow any harm. And remember, Ryan, it's so finely balanced. Like it's a one-score game at the moment.
Yeah, Ulster will be looking for more of the same. Glasgow need to really focus their minds on that set piece. Without that primary possession, it makes it difficult to really get into a match. Turnovers at that just have given Ulster the opportunity to go through the phases and create a lot of those try-scoring opportunities.
Well won by Nakarawa. This is Ryan Wilson just on. Rory Best with the tackle. Pyrgos. Josh Stryce. He's got no change out of Ulster's defence so far, the big South African. Slowish ball. Pyrgos has to do a bit of juggling himself. Taken on by Adam Ash. Russell suddenly needs to gather that, and it has been gathered by Craig Gilroy as he got himself into trouble. Well, he's got himself out of trouble again. Pienaar on the narrow side. Henderson. Strong handoff. Nicely presented. Pienaar again. Callum Black, Roger Wilson. Runs into Nakarawa. Pienaar. May go straight into touch, and it has gone straight into touch. So that's a rare error by Louis Lubick, and Ulster can't afford to make those errors because they're playing into Glasgow's hands. And remember, Glasgow with the wind in the face, it's easier for them to run the ball.
It is, and Ulster need to ensure, after doing all the hard yards in that first half into the wind, going through multiple phases and certainly showing that intensity in defence and at the breakdown, that they capitalise with a diminishing but still favourable wind at their back.
Well, Louis Luliker just booted that down the middle of the park. The wind would have taken it deep into Glasgow territory, but that's just the way it is.
Ulster
Give a step.
Leonie Nakarawa,
Ulster.
capped 25 times by Fiji and a member of the Fijian World Cup squad of 4 years ago. Glasgow shortened this line out. Stevenson looking for any advantage. Nakarawa, Pergos, better stuff by Glasgow. Russell, Strauss trying to come into this game a little bit more. Paddy Jackson had to tackle. George Clancy having a really good look. It's a very capable position should they get the penalty. Johnny Gray. That, I think, is what Glasgow were looking for. Ryan Grant was tackled by Wilson. Oh, nice pick up. Hogg got away from Jackson, and he's got away from a couple of Ulster tacklers. They can't afford to lie off anything at all. That's better stuff now by Glasgow. Adam Ash, tackled by Ricky Lutton. Best is in the middle of all of that. No turnover by Ulster. Better stuff now. Little chip kick through again. Well positioned by Ludick. Down the middle of the park, please. And that's not a bad kick by Ludick. And he hasn't made much in the way of ground. Good pressure coming from Glasgow, and they know that the first side to score here is going to be the one who will have every advantage.
And some very intelligent coaching going on. We saw the first line out Glasgow had. They make it a short line out rather than persisting with a malfunctioning full line out. They shorten it, they get good quality possession, and that creates the opportunity for Hogg to get some space on the outside, albeit he looks like he's down receiving some attention in back play.
I don't know whether it's just a cramp. I think there's something wrong with his left knee. They're having a really good look at it. They drove into the tackle there. He was held up by Ruan Teenart, and then there was a couple of other Ulster players come in to make the tackle. It was a lovely pick up off his toes, and Jackson did well. Didn't quite hang on to him, but plenty of Ulster cover there. Well, play goes on. Hogg seems to be fine. He's hobbling a little bit. Glasgow have won that line out. 5 minutes nearly gone in the second half. Glasgow just trying to squeeze forward, and they do. This time it's Strauss again. Stolen by Ulster. Here goes Bow. Gets it to Cave. Well, that's an awful pass, but it's still there. Play on. I think it was maybe just knocked forward. So the Glasgow hand just touched it there, and this is the danger man here. This fella, Nico Matawalu. Had he been about a 4 or 5 inches taller, he would have pinched that, and Ulster would have been in big trouble. He is the intercept king.
Yeah, and Ulster, whilst they're enjoying a 2-point lead, they'll know that there's some strike players in this Glasgow team that can turn things around. Excellent steal from Chris Henry. He's been dominant at the breakdown. He's slowed down possession and created a little chance for Ulster to go on the break, and unfortunately for Ulster, they couldn't finish off that 3-on-1 that they'd created from the turnover.
Yeah.
Cave's pass was much too high for Jared Payne to take.
Glasgow number 1 substitution.
Had he put that just in front of Jared Payne, I think there was an overlap, and Ulster might have been away. As it is, they've got the put into the scrummage.
Number 1.
Glasgow are making a replacement in the front row. Gordon Reid is coming on, and looks like Ryan Grant is going off now. The front row changes last week were pretty effective by Glasgow. I wonder if Gregor Townsend is doing the same, or is Ryan Grant in a little bit of trouble? He seemed to be holding himself there. He's looks like he's got a bit of a problem with somewhere in around the right shoulder, which is not a part of the body you want to get injured if you're a prop forward. So on comes Gordon Reid. So Glasgow have had to make 4 replacements. Reid now 28 with 8 Scottish caps to his credit.
Crouch! Bang!
Russo de Klerk on this side against Callum Black in the Ulster front row. That's collapsed.
Relax.
It's a little bit of jockeying for position there.
Just out here, 2 please.
Very best looking suitably frustrated.
As I was talking to you as leaders now. The scrums have been really poor.
You
know exactly what's required here. The game doesn't need
2 points between them. Those 2 points are all that matters.
Can you talk to your front row? You know exactly what I'm looking for.
Bonus points.
Wait for the stability. Ball comes in, then you go to work. Have a word now, please.
Well, referee's told the respective hookers what exactly he wants in the front row.
There haven't been very few completed scrums tonight. Most of them have been penalties, a couple either way, and the team that can get that clear dominance in that aspect will go a long way to creating that platform for possession they both crave.
Well, a decent travelling support here at Scotstoun. Down it goes. Free kick against Ulster for just nudging forward, taken quickly by Pergos. Into the replacement, Ryan Wilson. Peter Horn in attendance. Turgos again. Nakarawa. He gets it away. That was knocked forward by Finn Russell. Kind of a high tackle after by Roger Wilson. Needs just to be careful.
And again, it's Glasgow with those speculative offloads and that error count. Once again, not showing the level of composure that Ulster probably are in the contact area. Hand flailing around, looking to get it away, and then just bouncing precariously. And there's been a number of those little knock-ons by Glasgow. And again, it's Ulster with the opportunity to create meaningful possession.
Finn Russell, who finished the Six Nations Championship for Scotland against Ireland, as did another handful of this Glasgow side. It's going to be a scrum to Ulster, and they have to make sure they don't give away a penalty. The final in Belfast at the Kingspan Stadium awaits the winner of this one. A lot of very anxious faces there. Well, good to see plenty of Ulster flags here, but the support predominantly, needless to say, for the Glasgow Warriors, who had a very successful run here at their brand new home at the Scotstoun Stadium, having been peripatetic for a while. They tried Fairhill, then they went back to Huon, and then to Fairhill again. And here they are.
Now, get the bind up and go straight.
So it's Ruan Pienaar to put the ball in for Ulster. 7 minutes gone in the second half. Gordon Reid on is the loose head prop replacement for Glasgow against Ricky Lutton. Ulster need to keep this up, and they have kept it up. It's a solid looking scrum. Wilson away to Pienaar, and he's put that straight into touch. Well, what are Ulster doing? They're not making it easy for themselves, Brian. That's very careless. That's the only thing you can say. And that's not like Ruan Pienaar, nor was it like Louis Lillock. But these things don't help. And Ulster, the longer Ulster are pinned down here, the more you get the feeling that Glasgow could sneak a penalty to take the lead.
Well, what was so impressive about that first half performance was the lack of errors, individual and system, from Ulster, and just a couple of those starting to creep into the game there. And Ulster understand that if Glasgow do get possession and they start playing that offloading game and start holding on to a few of these passes, they're definitely a team that can score points and score them quickly, and with the wind at their back, they'll want to play this in opposition territory.
Nakarawa wins it again, inside to Seymour. Head bandage is big Johnny Gray, hasn't really had a run. MacArthur into Ulster's 22. This is better from Glasgow. And the ball was knocked forward by Glasgow, and Ulster will get a scrum and a chance to get away. Richie Vernon, who has played all his international rugby for Scotland, 20 caps, either at number 8 or on the flank.
Last one was much better.
The man in the middle of all of that.
Last one was much better. Give him that platform again.
Not too enthusiastic with the wave there.
No, and the game really getting bogged down now in these errors from both teams, and Ulster unable to replicate those periods of possession in opposition territory, and getting a little bit stop-start as to what was a very intense first half, just tailing off a little bit in the opening 10 minutes of this second.
Ulster scrum, Glasgow looking to put a squeeze on. Again, Ulster scrum is looking solid. Good work by Ricky Lutton on the Tycehead side. Pienaar to Darren Cave, up to the 22. The Glasgow player came in there, but the referee happy enough. Now Pienaar, he's given that a huge wallop. Hogg seems to be recovered, and he's returned it with a wee bit of interest perhaps. Underneath it is the self-same Pienaar, gathered by Tommy Seymour. Wonderful turnover there by Tommy Bowe, but Glasgow on the front foot. Nakarawa tries to get it away, that classic Fijian one-handed ball waving bit. Good work by Lewis Stevenson. Play on, says the referee.
Stay inside.
Well, Ulster haven't won it, but it's been slowed down for Glasgow, but still the men in blue and black are in possession and looking much better and much more composed. Now Johnny Gray, tackled by Henderson. First time we mentioned him in the second half. Here come Glasgow again. Ryan Wilson, the replacement, on for Chris Pizarro. Interesting selection on the bench ahead of Rob Harley. Nakarawa has a go. Roger Wilson with the tackle, stolen by Pienaar. That's a clever kick into a bit of space. Matawalu goes all the way back, and Jared Payne comes across. Was there a bit of obstruction there? Well, not so, says the referee. Oh, look at this fella. Could he go all the way? Steps inside Best. Good tackle by Darren Cave. What a dangerous little fellow this guy is, particularly when he's on the wing.
Yeah, well, with space like that, he is extremely dangerous, and fortunately Darren Cave, used to shepherding those quick wingers in the outside channel, had an answer for it, but just a demonstration for Ulster there about the foibles of kicking loosely. If he gets time and space, he can create damage. Excellent take in the air by Tommy Seymour, and here we see those dancing feet allied with that huge speed. Players struggling to even get a hand on him.
Well, he stepped inside Rory Best, and Darren Cave kept tracking him down. And Ulster's centre had the strength to bundle him into touch. Here's Best. Nicely taken by Wilson. Clever play by Wilson, decided to hold it in and let the rest of the forwards come in behind him. Now Ulster need to drive this forward.
That's one, scrum half,
11 and a half minutes played, and Ulster 2 precious points ahead. Pienaar, now to Jackson. Jared Payne very nearly through. Up to the 10-metre line. Pienaar again. Ludick runs a good angle. Pienaar looking to go to his left. Well taken by Henderson. Wasn't a great pass, he did well. Pienaar again. Glasgow looking suspiciously offside. This is Stevenson. Good clearing out by Ulster. Now Pienaar. Payne. No way through. Adam Ashe gets in the way. Pienaar again. Chris Henry, Ulster's try scorer from the first half. Pienaar, better stuff by Ulster. Jackson back inside to Gilroy, who gets away and spills it. Referee playing advantage to Glasgow. Can they take advantage? Finn Russell has a couple of men outside him. That's gone loose. Oh, a little bit of nonsense on the ground. Ulster need to be careful. George Clancy in straight away. Knocked on by Glasgow. Ulster's scrum. Have Ulster weathered that early second half storm by the Glaswegians?
Well, they'd much prefer to be in this half than where they were for a large part of that second half in their own territory, and challenge now is to spend some time there. Went through a number of phases. First real opportunity they've had to go through some of those phases. Gilroy, that swivel that he's so good at, but Matawalu always conscious of where the ball is. That wasn't a mistake knocking that out of Gilroy's. That was targeted, and then we see the counter-attack, looking at the opportunity to kick, but going for a more speculative kick may have been better warranted to knock that one long and send the chase.
Well, Glasgow, as they did a week ago, have replaced the entire front row. I think a couple of them have been due to injury, and Mike Cusack, who's formerly of Leeds and Doncaster, has come on to play on the tight head prop side for Glasgow. So it's a completely different Glasgow front row. Ulster haven't made any changes thus far. And the front row changes last week were significant for Glasgow, but then Rory Best and Callum Black weren't there.
Yeah, we're good. We'll be okay.
14 minutes gone in the second half, and still all too tantalisingly close.
I'll give you the mark again, so just to the left of that.
Having a little word with Mike Cusack. The Ulster replacement.
Crouch! Bang! Set!
Good strike by Best. Glasgow trying to get a squeeze on, but Ulster dig in. Glasgow front row have come up. It's a penalty. What a very good Ulster scrum, and great work by Callum Black on the Ulster loose head side, squeezing the life out of Cusack, who was forced to come up, and he's given away the penalty.
Yeah, Ulster be delighted with an opportunity to extend that 2-point lead and try and get it outside of that converted try range. Only be able to add an additional 3 on this occasion, but it's those first points after half-time that be welcomed by both sides. And again, some excellent work in the scrum. Ulster just edging forward, and eventually Glasgow popping up.
Good snap by Ulster. Alan Clark, the Ulster forwards coach, will be pleased with the sheer technical brilliance of that one. Opened the scoring just a minute into the first half. Can Ruan Pienaar extend Ulster's lead 5 points. He's made it. What a very good kick by Ruan Pienaar. 16 minutes into the second half. It's Glasgow 6 and Ulster 11.
And Ulster taking a commanding position in this game. They'll be delighted with the way it's unfolding and getting those points on the board again. Opportunity now for kick receipts. Need to focus the mind. The call will be to get back down with the use of that wind into Glasgow territory.
Just looking down below us, and that's Stuart Hogg walking along very gingerly. That was a bad reception of the restart kick by Ulster, and a splendid one by Glasgow. Pyrgos into Ryan Wilson, the replacement. Pyrgos again, Glasgow looking to respond immediately. Taken on by Adam Ash. Chris Henry with the tackle. Pyrgos, Russell. It's gone wide. Oh, here's Matawalu. Little chip and chase by the little Phillip. This could be interesting. Back goes Pienaar. And did he carry it over, or was it touchdown? And did somebody thump into him? Dudley Phillips on the near side is going to have a word with George Clancy.
Check to see if there was an obstruction here.
Interference, yes.
Okay, and then how the ball was made dead. Seamus, can you hear me?
He's going to check with TMO Seamus Flannery to see if there was an obstruction.
There. And if not, how do we restart again?
Stand by.
Well, Seamus Flannery's going to have a look at that. Now, was there somebody obstructed there? Oh, there might have been a little bit of obstruction by Gilroy on Matawalu. Let me have a look at that. Did he run across him? Oh, I don't think there's very much in that. Don't think there's much in that. It was shoulder on shoulder, and Matawalu, in fact, came straight back at Gilroy. Did Pienaar touch the ball down before it went over the line? Has there been foul play? Well, Seamus Flannery is going to decide. This could be interesting.
Well, if there's foul play, it's more likely to be Matawalu on Gilroy than the other way around. Shoulder to shoulder, no issue with that. I think that'll be dismissed, and they'll then look whether Ruan Pienaar has taken the ball across the line before grounding.
Well, this is Gilroy. Well, Gilroy was running straight. Well, Matawalu was trying to brush past him, and Gilroy, I think, just kept going. I'm not sure that Matawalu is doing the old soldier bit. He certainly interfered with Gilroy. This is the interesting bit, though. Ooh, and Ruan Pienaar's carried that over his own line. And at the very best for Ulster, it's going to be a 5-metre scrum. At the worst, it's going to be a penalty against Gilroy. Which one would you opt for, Mr. Constable?
Yeah, I can't see how that'll be.
Just coming up now,
Gilroy
George.
doesn't change his line, shoulder to shoulder.
Here's the decision. Seamus Flannery's having yet another look at it. I'm not altogether sure that Gilroy has done anything wrong. But if not, then Ruan Pienaar certainly, I think, carried that over his own line for a 5-metre scrum to Glasgow. No, I don't think there's very much in that. Gilroy wasn't doing anything at all. There was no interference there. It was shoulder on shoulder. There's nothing wrong with that, I believe.
George?
Yes, Seamus.
There is no clear obstruction.
Right.
And the ball was carried over the line by White, so it'll be a 5-metre scrum to Blue.
Okay,
it is a 5-metre scrum to Glasgow.
So we haven't seen any.
And remember, there's only 5 points between them here.
The ball was carried over the line by White. It's going to be scrum 5 to you here.
Well, Nico Matawalu knows very well, I think, that he would have been very lucky to have got a penalty from that.
With a big challenge now for Glasgow is to get some stability in their scrum to ensure they get possession. They're in the right part of the pitch where they want to be. Excellent pass, and Matawalu takes the right option in kicking through, and some desperate defence. Pienaar's outstanding at running that corner flag line and manages to block that one out.
It was a lovely pass off the left hand by Glasgow, and a clever piece of appreciation of space by Nico Matawalu. So no penalty for Glasgow, but they have this 5-metre scrum. And all of Scotstoun is behind this Glasgow 8. Also need to get a squeeze on. Pyrgos with a put in. Down it goes.
And down far side, we'll have it again.
Gordon Reid complaining that he's been taken down by Ricky Lutton. Referee's going to ask them to do it again. Crucial times these, coming up to the end of the third quarter. Only 5 points between them, remember. 1 point would be enough. Number 20 for Glasgow, big Ryan Wilson.
Wait for my
No fewer than 7 Scottish internationals on the Glasgow bench.
Bind! Set!
And it goes.
White!
Ulster give away the penalty.
You have your penalty. Be careful, you have your penalty now.
Bit of nonsense breaks out in the front row. What will Glasgow do? Will they go for a scrum again? Will they go for the line out? The line out's a little bit better, but they might think they might be good enough to get a penalty try from a scrum. What do you think?
Yeah, right.
Well, the scrum seem to be going one penalty, one the other, so it'll be a risky option to go for scrum. That said, their line out hasn't actually been functioning much better, so tough call. They've gone for the line out, look to get possession. They do have a very good rolling ball, and a time like this, I'm sure they'll look to employ that and see whether they can finally get on the scoreboard in this second half.
Well, assuming that it is Josh Royce who's taken over the captaincy, he's gone for probably the right option. There's a lot of big men in this Glasgow line-out, despite the loss of Al Kellogg. Ash is in there, Royce, Johnny Gray. That's lofted. Oh, stolen by who else? Henderson.
Stay on.
Not the greatest contact in the world by Ruan Tina. Did it come off a Glasgow hand? Don't think it did. Well, Ulster have cleared the lines, albeit temporarily. 20 minutes and a wee bit remaining, Ryan.
And with Glasgow's set piece not functioning, that's a gilt-edged opportunity, 5 metres out, and didn't even find a Glasgow hand. They'll be distraught that their line-out is malfunctioning at this level.
Well, they have another chance. And they won this one. Here they go. Good drive forward, looking for the offload. Pyrgos gets it away quickly. This is Nakarawa. Ball held aloft. Good work by Rory Best at the breakdown. Oh, giving away the penalty. Well, Glasgow must take this, mustn't they?
Well, no point scrumming, no point kicking to the line. 3's their only option. It's right in front with a 5-point margin. It's the right decision. Rory Best probably quite rightly claimed he was making an effort to get away, and the way it falls, trying to stop that offload from Nakarawa, he falls on his back, and then as he tries to retreat out there, he gets blocked and given some encouragement by Glasgow, but referee deeming it too little too late.
Well, Rory Best was certainly trying to get away, but not quickly enough for referee George Clancy. And it's presented Glasgow with a fairly straightforward chance of 3 more points.
Replace it.
The ball has fallen over, so he'll be allowed to replace it, Finn Russell. Got the Glasgow's first penalty in the first half, followed by a huge one from Stuart Hogg from halfway. Here's Russell. He's not going to miss this. And he certainly hasn't. Well, we're back exactly to a 2-point game, as they say. Glasgow 9 and Ulster 11. 19 minutes remaining.
And Glasgow must be wondering how they're still within 2 points of Ulster, given the lack of possession they've had. Their set piece not providing any of that primary possession, and Ulster just need to ensure now that they go back to that intensity and urgency with which they played the first half and really start to impose themselves again on this Glasgow team.
Nakarawa takes it in. Pyrgos. Brian Wilson, tackled by Chris Henry. Pyrgos gets it away. This is a lot quicker and slicker by Glasgow. Richie Vernon. That's a pretty horrible pass. Ulster's line-out, they'll be grateful for that. Just Glasgow seem to have just upped the intensity a wee bit, I think.
Yeah, still the errors are plaguing them though, and it's been a huge error count throughout the match for them, and that just hasn't allowed them to go through any phases, hasn't allowed them to build any possession, hasn't allowed them to play in the parts of the pitch they wanted to, and they have to put that frustration aside now. There's 2 points separating the team, and really just concentrate on performing the basics and going through their patterns error-free.
Well taken at the back by Ulster. Pinar. Tommy Bowe. Quicker ball. Pinar. Roger Wilson. Good strong run. Pick up and drive by Dan Toohey, who's divested himself of the headgear. Now it's his second row partner, Lewis Stevenson. Ulster inside the Glasgow 22 for the first time in this half, which is nearly 23 minutes old. Again, Ulster pick up and drive, keeping it tight. Here goes Henderson. Johnny Gray makes the tackle. Pinar. Jackson inside the Cave, runs into a lot of very heavy traffic, well held up by Glasgow. That's good tackling, and that's going to be a Glasgow scrum unless Ulster can get it down. They're still moving forward, and it is going to be a Glasgow scrum. Great defending in the middle of the park by Glasgow.
The excellent stuff. Ulster going through a few phases, getting over the advantage line, and Glasgow spot the opportunity to get that choke tackle in. And once you get that number of players surrounding the ball, even when it goes to ground, the ball doesn't get to ground and is not visible by the referee, and Glasgow will be delighted with this opportunity to clear their lines.
Well, Finn Russell shows that he can defend as well as attack and kick. I thought for a wee second Paddy Jackson was going to put a little dinky kick into the middle of the field, and it was Richie Vernon, the converted flank forward, who did the initial holding up, and Nakarawa came in, and also Pat MacArthur and Finn Russell in the middle of all of that. So Darren Kay was nabbed by 5 Glasgow defenders.
Okay.
What a racket here in Scotstoun.
Set. Break it up, break it up. Guys, you're just getting too anxious over there now.
Scrum goes down on the Ulster tight head side. No sign of Ulster making any replacements, front row or otherwise. And he's gone round to see what's going on between Mike Cusack and Callum Black. He's going to leave his assistant on this side to see what's going on. Ulster will be looking for a big surge on the Glasgow put-in. Good Glasgow scrum. Pyrgos to Russell, whom I'm sure will kick, and he does. Jackson looked for the block. Ludick with Bow inside him. There's Bow. Crowd thought that was forward. Pienaar. Jackson. Well, caught in two minds, Jackson, not for the first time. If Glasgow turned that one over. No, but they've given away the penalty. Just as well, I think. Not like Ruan Pienaar getting involved in a little bit of nonsense, I have to say.
Back a second.
Ulster's penalty, and they need to get close to the Glasgow line and launch something from a line out.
Yeah, with this wind at the back, Ruan Pienaar you'd think would fancy the range. Has diminished somewhat, but the flags are still flying, and on a still day he'd back himself from there, and with the wind he's certainly going to have a go, and valuable points indeed they'd be.
In fact, it was Gilroy and not Paddy Jackson. Apologise to Patrick Jackson. But Glasgow penalised there, going off their feet. They protested, needless to say. And Ruan Pienaar has opted for a pop-it goal. Craig Gilroy, the man in the middle of all of that.
Okay.
Well, the wind not nearly as strong as it was in the first half, and even though Pienaar is a long-range specialist, this maybe is at the very limit of his abilities. Big sign up on the big screen, which you can't see, saying please respect the kicker. They're not really doing that. Here's Pienaar. Can he punish them? Don't think it's going to carry. No, it hasn't. Very, very, very. Yes, it has. My word. The flags went up. I thought that drifted under, but the assistants put the flags up. Well, what a strike by Pienaar. Deary me, that was a good kick. Thought for a second that it drifted underneath. They waited and they hesitated. Have a look at this, Ryan. Van der Merwe is on as Ulster win the restart. Pienaar trying to put a little bit of pressure on Finn Russell, who's up to it. Now, can he run? He looks a little bit laboured. He might just be able to straighten. Gets it to Matawalu, playing his last game at Scotstoun. Nakarawa, his fellow Fijian. Matawalu. A lot of white jerseys have filtered across there. Kicked through by Lewis Stevenson. Nothing wrong with that. Johnny Gray. Darren Cave has to put the tackle in. Nakarawa. That one-handed pass Wilson takes it forward. Still there for Glasgow. 5 points adrift, remember. Here they come. Good covering work. Wonderful tackle once again by Ian Henderson. Play on, says the referee. Ulster has snaffled that one. Great steal. Pienaar to put a bit of pressure on. Needed to put a bit more on that. Up comes Ludick. Oh, held back by Johnny Gray, surely. Van der Merwe back on the field again. Back on the Glasgow side. But 11 and a half minutes remaining. Henderson gets himself back on side. Pyrgos to kick. Ooh, that's a tester. Jackson jumps, knocks it back. Pulled in by Glasgow. Pat MacArthur is there. Glasgow need a converted try to win this one. Here they go. Russell. There's a wee chance out wide if they can shift it to Hogg, who's oodles a pace. Hogg against Jared Payne. Payne shepherds him toward the touchline. Chris Henry across quickly. Back in the Glasgow side. Here they come again. Johnny Gray. What a game this has been this evening. Glasgow with a wee man or two over, it would seem. Richie Vernon. Slow ball coming back, but it's Glasgow ball. Pyrgos. Nakarawa. Good defending by Ulster. Darren Cave with a terrific tackle. Slow ball, but it's back in Glasgow's side. Pyrgos. Pat MacArthur into Lewis Stevenson. Best got the hand to it. Away come Ulster. Jared Payne puts boot to ball. Van der Merwe goes back. Got away from Payne. He's very quick, Van der Merwe. Oh, he's still going. Ulster can't afford to hang off tackles. Nakarawa at scrum half. 10 minutes remaining. Pyrgos. Matawalu. Good work yet again by Darren Cave and Chris Henry. Slow ball, but Glasgow still have it. That's gone loose. Did that come off Tommy Bowe? I think it did. That's the Glasgow line out. Last 10 minutes. 5 points between them.
Breathtaking stuff, but for Ulster, they're still in control of territory. Glasgow are being forced to run from deep, hoping that this game's going to break up, creating little opportunities. Hogg showing some excellent footwork and no small amount of strength to maintain possession. And as they go through the phases again, it's that defensive work. Lewis Stevenson, who's had an outstanding game in the tight, creates that turnover. Right option to kick, and then some excellent work by Van der Merwe to get himself out of trouble and shrug himself free from that tackle. Ulster will be aware there are game breakers in this team, but they'll force them to play from deep. They'll start taking speculative options, and if Ulster can muscle up defensively and control that territory, they'll feel they've got enough to finish this off.
Well, the veteran in terms of Scottish caps of the Glasgow side, Sean Lamont, has come on, who can slot into the centre because Peter Horn has gone off the field. 9.5 minutes remaining. Back in the Glasgow side, Pyrgos. Russell thought about the kick. They made a mess of that. Referee waiting for advantage to Ulster. Payne changes his mind about the pass. Rory Best in there. No advantage to Ulster. Well, I don't know why the crowd are booing, because surely they must appreciate what exactly happened there. Glasgow knocked it forward. Ulster got no advantage, and it's going to be an Ulster scrum with 9 minutes remaining. Nico Matawalu, the 26-year-old Fijian, in the wars a little bit.
And the game really getting away. Having made the most of that one. There was some contact there. It was in front of the assistant referee, and he chose not to do anything.
Oh, he dived. He did dive. Like Ricky Lutton did make contact with his collar, but trying to get in on the Oscar season, I think, Nico Matawalu.
Got a call for a check, hang on.
Well, the crowd have made enough noise that the referee's attention's been brought to it, and they are going to check it.
Well, this would be a little bit unfortunate. Callum Black is, I think, about to be replaced by Andrew Warwick, whom I saw running up and down, but no sign yet. And also Stuart McCluskey is sitting not too far away as well. So they are going to have a look at that, and Seamus Farry will decide whether or not there was foul play there by Ulster's tight head prop. Round the neck. Oh, he let him go. He just put the hand up. Well, did he make any effort to try to... Was that dangerous, Ryan?
Oh, his hand's in a foul play position, but there's no malice, intent, or even force, I think, involved in that. And Ricky laughing at the reaction he got from that.
So after the ball, after I've gone the whistle, is there a high shot?
Yeah,
number 3.
White 3.
Okay.
Took the player down without the ball.
Okay, just a penalty?
Just a penalty.
Yeah.
Well, it's just going to be a penalty, which will give Glasgow a chance to get into Ulster's territory. Ricky Lutton's going to get a bit of a telling off. Nothing more than a penalty.
Yeah, technical penalty, and it probably warrants that. Certainly wouldn't have wanted anything more than that, but Glasgow will welcome that opportunity. That pressure was mounting. Ulster and the lead on the scoreboard and dominating that territorial battle. Glasgow trying to create something from deep, but forcing it, and need to be a little bit more pragmatic in getting into Ulster territory.
Well, the wind has dropped quite a bit, certainly from the first half, and Finn Russell has found a pretty decent touch just inside the Ulster half. On comes Andrew Warwick, and off goes Callum Black. So Ulster have waited until the 72nd minute to make their very first replacement, and it's Andrew Warwick, who got himself yellow carded here a week ago. Nail biting stuff. Pat MacArthur. Remember, a converted try will win this for Glasgow. Pyrgos. Strauss, the captain. Well tackled by Chris Henry. Good work by Strauss. Henry gets himself a way out of it. Johnny Gray back inside. Ulster have got themselves offside. Pyrgos on the narrow side, taken on by MacArthur. Referee still playing advantage. Nakarawa, this enormous Fijian. Ulster can't afford to get careless, because this is going to give Glasgow a chance to get closer to the Ulster line. And remember, the Glasgow driving line out is not a bad one.
Yeah, the real challenge for them is securing that possession from the line out. We know they've got a good driving maul, but difficult to get it within range. Interesting to see Ulster's tactic. They've competed well at line out time and caused a lot of problems. Whether they stay on the ground and look to defend remains to be seen.
Well, that was a good call by Glasgow stand-in skipper Josh Strauss, who's taken over that mantle since Al Kellogg, who's been the man in charge for 7 years, left the field of play in the first half. And that's a very good kick by Finn Russell, and it's given his forwards a great chance. They take it quickly to the front, down the far touchline. Pyrgos, they need it quickly, they've got it quickly. Johnny Gray going forward. Remember, Glasgow need a converted try to win this. Pyrgos thought about going to his right, now to Nakarawa. That's how close they are. Pyrgos. Moved well away. Richie Vernon. Good tackle by Lewis Stevenson. It's all Glasgow now. Here they come again. Matawalu held up by Rory Best. Glasgow's ball. Well, this is nail-biting stuff. Nakarawa again. Pyrgos. Ulster having to defend as if their very lives depended on it. Pyrgos looking for a runner. Gets the runner, and again it's Nakarawa. Good tackling by Rory Best. Still back in Glasgow's side. Strauss the skipper. Johnny Gray to help. Closer all the time. One missed tackle. Darren Cave. Down and up again. Still there for Glasgow. Can they stretch it wide? They're deciding to go through the middle. Roger Wilson needs to be careful. Pyrgos. Johnny Gray. Tackle was by Jared Payne. Good clearing out by Glasgow. Ryan Wilson. Pyrgos. Nakarawa. There are men over to the far side of Glasgow can shift it. Now they try to shift it. Well taken. Wide ball. This is going to be a try for Glasgow. What a score. And in this last game at Scotstoun, it's DPH Van der Merwe who gets over for his 42nd Glasgow try to level this game with a kick to come, and it could break Ulster hearts.
Well, finally Glasgow have brought the intensity to a match that warranted it. The ferocity with which they were carrying ball, the power of their clean-outs, and then the coolness of that decision-making from Finn Russell, who floats the pass into the space. Difficult conversion to come, but Glasgow going into another gear. Clever little throw from the line-out, unpredictable, given the traditional line-outs haven't been a great source of possession for them. And then it was the ball carrying, getting over the advantage line, and Ulster struggling to equalise the numbers. Great pick-up, and then that wide floating pass with superior numbers on the outside, and everything riding now on this massive kick.
Well, Russell's pass off the left hand was absolutely perfect. Is he going to land the perfect conversion? Well, Glasgow Hearts in their minds. That's the angle. Doesn't it look easy from there? Up he comes. Good strike. It's coming in! And he's nailed it, Russell.
Glasgow back in the lead with 3.5 minutes remaining. And is there time for Ulster, who've dominated this game in so many ways, to come back and get to the final on home turf in a week's time?
Yeah, Ulster, you feel have been the dominant team on the pitch, but they're not now leading on the scoreboard. But they need to show the composure that was a hallmark of that first half in this remaining 3.5 minutes to try and manufacture another penalty kick. Pinar's shown he can do it from 55 metres, so they need to contain Glasgow within this half.
Well, Matawalu takes it on. He's well tackled. Ulster made a couple of changes. Robbie Dyack, number 19, is on. Stuart McCluskey, wearing 21, is on.
Inside.
All Glasgow need to do is to hang on to this ball for 3 more minutes, and they will have reached their second successive final. They finished top of the league, remember, first against fourth here tonight. Glasgow knock it back. That might just make all the difference. They've made 30 metres. They'll be looking for more through the boot of Russell, and he's trying to keep the lid on it. Clever kick. Oh, it bounced beautifully for him. And Ulster looking a wee bit shell-shocked, and Glasgow looking absolutely ecstatic, when for so long in this game Ulster held the upper hand.
Well, we see that wonderful execution, awareness of where the space was, and then the timing and the ability to get it into that wide channel where it needed to be, and a dream farewell for DTH van der Merwe from Glasgow.
Well, Sean Reedy has come on to play for Ulster for the first time in many months. 2.5 minutes remaining. Best, quicker ball, Pinar. They need to do something special. Taken on by McCluskey. Pinar. Jared Payne, little chip. Tommy Bowe couldn't get to it. Glasgow line-out. Came off a Glasgow foot, it seems, according to the official on this side, and it is going to be an Ulster line-out. 2 minutes remaining, Brian.
Ulster have shown in this game, when they go through their phases, maintain their composure, make good decisions on the ball, they have got the ability to go through those multi-phase plays. Look for a strike move off the line-out, but then look for a way to get deep enough into Glasgow territory to either obtain a penalty or to get yourself into drop goal position. Coolness required from Ulster.
Well, for the first time, Ulster's line-out misfires. Glasgow have pinched that one. 1.5 minutes to go. Matawalu's gone off. Duncan Ware has come on for Glasgow. Henry Pergos. To the man who's made such a difference, Nakarawa, Johnny Gray, looking the part now. 1.25 minutes to go. Glasgow, all they have to do is keep that ball. Reedy with the tackle. It's looking like the table toppers are going to go into the second successive final, and Ulster, as hosts of the final, will not be there to enjoy the party unless something remarkable happens, and I don't think Glasgow are going to let that happen. Johnny Gray, Roger Wilson came up quickly. Rory Best tries to clamber in. Play on, says the referee, and he's given a penalty against Ulster, and that is going to be that. Glasgow, all they have to do is go for the corner. In fact, they might even think about going for the post.
Yeah, desperate times. Ulster needing to try and force something at that breakdown, and they can take their minute now, take a kick for goal and kick it dead, and that'll be game over, or they'll look to kick the touch and try and secure a line out. They should be kicking for goal, but the question remains, could they kick it dead from here and into the wind? The answer is maybe not, but still pontificating about that decision.
Well, they've made up their mind, and Finn Russell has indicated that he's not going to go for goal, but I think Stuart Hogg, who's got the long range kicking ability, is going to go for goal, and this is going to be the last play of this game. Well, Ulster turned round 8-6 up. They led from the 20th minute, and right until the 75th minute they led, and then Glasgow came back at them.
Yeah, Glasgow did remarkably well to remain within touching distance for Ulster. For all the dominance that Ulster had, they just couldn't find a way to rack up the points on the scoreboard, and despite the lack of efficiency of their set piece, the high error count, Glasgow have found a way to remain in this game and very close to winning it now.
Well, a perfect sky. Is this a perfect kick? It's not a perfect kick. Ulster will have to run this. It's not dead. Here goes Payne. Managed to slip. Well, it is asking a lot of Ulster to get from one end of the field to the other, but that's exactly what they'll have to do. Forward they go. Pinar. Bit of a chance here too. He's not going to kick this time. Well, he's not going to pass. He had Tommy Bowe outside him. Pinar. Ludick. Gilroy on his own. Spilled it forward, says the referee. George Clancy says that's a Glasgow scrum. They won't care about the scrum. All they will care about is the win. And Gregor Townsend and Shane Munro and the rest of the Glasgow coaching ticket, who've been holding their breath and biting their nails for 3/4 of this game, can breathe easy. They pipped Munster here a year ago. They pipped Ulster here in 2015. And despite all Ulster's efforts, and there were those who say Ulster had the chances and didn't take them, Glasgow's chances were very few, but they simply took them. And Glasgow will be in Belfast next weekend.
Yeah, Ulster will be inconsolable after doing all that work in the first half, creating that platform that you felt could propel them through that second half. Glasgow's grit and determination to remain in, and that desire to get to that final, defend that home record. Ali Kellick, who had to leave early, and a number of other departing players, you really felt them come together in the latter stage of that second half, where they found that ability, that inspiration and that desire to stay within it, and they'll be absolutely delighted, if not bewildered, as to how they managed to get that victory.
Well, there was never more than a single score between these sides all the way through, and although Ulster led by 2 points at the interval and kicked on to at one stage lead by 5 points, Glasgow stuck at them, and every time Ulster scored, Glasgow came back, and right at the end, when it was very, very important, Glasgow got the final score. Finn Russell, for the second week in a row, named as man of the match. Glasgow with a fabulous try at the end by DTH Van der Merwe, which was converted, made Glasgow the winners. They've beaten Ulster here at Scotstoun and will advance to the final thanks to a scoreline that reads Glasgow 16 and Ulster 14.
Well, a very deflated Stephen Ferris and Andy Ward watched what was a cruel finish and heartbreak for Ulster.
Heartbreak for Ulster, but yet another refereeing decision that I think has probably cost Ulster.
Which one?
Matt O'Wally needs to take a look at himself. He needs to walk into that change room and look himself in the mirror and say, what on earth was I doing? Jumping around there. He should be on a football field, not a rugby field. I'm actually angry that the result has went like that. You know, another stupid penalty that it went offside. I think it was Hendy went offside there, and they went up the pitch 60 metres, and I'm furious, absolutely furious.
The sweat's breaking on us back here.
So you're talking about the Matt O'Wallow incident with Ricky Lutton?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you know,
I mean, it was pathetic. It was embarrassing. And to be honest, it was embarrassing. In the rugby environment, that was pathetic in terms of the way his theatrics. You could see by Ricky Lutton, literally, he wouldn't even undone his top button had it been on. And you could tell by Ricky Lutton's, you're joking, that's nothing. And you could see him just diving like it was a complete Oscar award winning performance there. And for the referees and everybody to actually employ that when it was right in front of the touch judge, and I just thought, you know what, you guys need to take a look at yourselves as well, because it was no call for it in the game. Now, in fairness, Ulster didn't particularly play well in the second half, but it's small instances and scenarios like that have now cost them a final, and I think the referees need to be accountable at some point 100%. In what they do. So
from that Matawalu decision, which you think was incorrect, it obviously gave Glasgow the upper hand to go on to score the try.
Of course, you know, I think it would have been an Ulster scrum.
Yeah.
And then they go up the pitch. Another offside here. They kick the balls out. In fairness, it's a great kick. They go very simple at the front of the line out, and then it's just about patience, keeping the ball. And Glasgow just got their tails up here, and you know, when you go through the amount of phases that they did, you know, they're going to have numbers at some stage.
We need to make those shots. Tommy shoots a line and just puts us under pressure if the shot's not being made there. And you know, in fairness to Glasgow, they've done nothing all match pretty much, but this here they just got the fuse lit. And
but it's about being clinical when you get your opportunities, isn't it?
Without a shadow of a doubt. And you know, that was a cracking pass there. It was an absolute peach of a pass, but the awareness to make that pass happen, and you know, we exploited it, and it was fair play. Great work.
And you kind of had the feeling that Finn Russell was going to knock over the conversion as well.
Yeah, like he probably, Paddy Jackson had played him off the park more or less for 60 or 70 minutes of the match, but he steps up. He comes across as a pretty confident guy. He walks around with a bit of a swagger. He's got the kind of haircut that all those guys run about with at the minute.
I hope the people at home appreciate that I've had to calm this big man down here for 40 minutes. It's there, you know, he's chomping at the bit, folks.
I know you are both not happy, and I don't want to make you any more unhappy, but we are going to hear from Andy Nicol now.
Breathe.
Well, it's a sensational atmosphere here. You can probably hear it. Andy, what a game of rugby.
It was an incredible game, and Glasgow, I think that just tells you how far this club has come. They didn't play great, and they only took the lead in the 77th minute, but that was enough for them to get to the final. It's a great night for this club. The atmosphere has been great, and you know, they didn't play the greatest, but they won the game.
This is a great advert for the Pro 12.
Oh, without doubt. I mean, two teams, both absolutely throwing everything at it. Great atmosphere, great night, and you know, good quality of rugby. We didn't get the tries that I thought we might get, but we only have one each, but we got the excitement, and that's what the Pro 12 semi-finals are all about.
Such a painful way to lose for Ulster as well.
Yeah, and listen, I know that, and I know it was such a huge carrot for them to play the final at the Kingspan, but you know, they probably deserve to win it, but you only do if you win the scoreline at the end of the day. And Glasgow, they dug in it. They didn't play their best tonight, but they found a way to win, and I think that tells you everything about far this club and this team have developed under Gregor Townsend.
We talked about composure at half-time. The phases they went through in that last drive, it was pretty special.
Yeah, they upped their game, no doubt about it. I thought they were really poor in the first half. Their contact skills were poor, they gave away a lot of ball. The set piece was non-existent. That all got better, and you need a set piece to play. Then they went through the phases, and then Finn Russell, they got the big players running like Josh Strauss, Johnny Gray, Nakawara, and that allowed Finn Russell to pick off DTH Van der Merwe to get the try that ultimately win it. But what a conversion by Finn Russell as well from the far touchline.
They say the borders is the heart of rugby in this part of the world. What does a result like this and an atmosphere like this do for Scottish rugby?
Yeah, not anymore. You know, the borders, there's no professional game down there. Glasgow's where it's at. You know, the atmosphere here, they've built this from nothing. You know, this in the last, you know, however 15 years, they've built this up. And so last year they got to the final, had to go to the RDS to take on Leinster. Now they can go to their second successive final and play against either Munster or Ospreys, which they'll go out there and they'll think they've got a real opportunity next week, and I think they do.
Glasgow have to go as favourites, don't they?
Well, I don't know. I think if Munster, you know that club, that they know how to win the big games. I like the way you're trying to put the pressure back on Glasgow straight after that result. But you know what? They'll go better for the experience last year. They didn't play well in the final last year. I think it got to them a wee bit. They've now got that experience under the belt. They've got another victory here. You know, there was 1 point last year against Munster, 2 points tonight against Ulster. I think they'll go over there next week full of confidence that they can win it.
The atmosphere here is unbelievable. How many of these fans will make it to Belfast, do you think?
Well, 3,000 went over last year to Dublin, and I just think they might take even more next year. It's an easier trip to get to Belfast, and I think they'll do it.
OK, Andy, thanks for your time. Rory Best is with us. Thank you, Andy. Rory, I'm not sure how I speak to you after that performance. Sum it up for us.
I think at this stage of the season in semi-final rugby, if you don't play your best rugby, especially away from home, you're going to be struggling. I think in the second half especially, we kind of just tried to play out the clock and try to win the game, and sort of trust that when we got in their half, we knew we could do enough to score points, and Glasgow are a dangerous team, and to let them in at the end is bitterly disappointing.
Did you feel in control set piece? Certainly it was looking good from your point of view.
Yeah, no, it went well. Scrum time, I still think there are some probably outrageous decisions scrum time that went against us. We were dominant for large parts, and to then be dominant and be rock solid in our ball, and then to be penalised on their ball, it stinks a bit of inconsistency for me. But ultimately, I think it's probably going to come across a bit like sour grapes. But